10 minutes to present my bill. I beg to...
Order. I appreciate that there is a... Order. Mr. Pound. Mr. Pound. Let us show respect for the honourable lady as she introduces her 10-minute rule motion. Maria Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to require the provision of defibrillators in educational establishments and in leisure, sports and certain other public facilities, and to make provision for funding the acquisition, installation, use and maintenance of defibrillators and for connected purposes. This is my second attempt, Mr. Speaker, to bring in this bill, as last year it fell when the general election was called. But it's imperative that we push for these life-saving devices to be installed and be mandatory in our public buildings. As I said in Prime Minister's questions, 12 young people each and every week die as a result of a sudden cardiac arrest. And if they are in a shockable rhythm, around 80% of them could be saved by the use of a defibrillator. So the purpose of this bill is to increase the rates of survival from cardiac arrest, as currently our record of survival in the UK is dismal. According to the British Heart Foundation, almost 30,000 cardiac arrests a year happen outside of hospitals, and less than 10% of those people currently survive. In fact, in some parts of England, survival rates are as low as 2%. And behind each of those statistics are people, families and communities. A cardiac arrest can happen for many reasons, from trauma right through to congenital heart defects. But if a person is in a shockable rhythm, using a defibrillator can increase their survival by as much as 80%. But for defibs to be successful, minutes count, and quick access to a defibrillator is essential. If too much time elapses, a shockable rhythm turns to a non-shockable rhythm, and the chances of survival decrease rapidly. If a person's heart is not restarted within 4 minutes, their chances of living are reduced by almost 80%. Even the speediest paramedic in the country would struggle to get to someone in 4 minutes. That is why having easy, accessible defibrillators is so crucial. Across the UK, we have laws mandating the availability of other life-saving equipment, such as seat belts, fire extinguishers and smoke alarms, but not a single piece of legislation requiring defibrillators that could restart the heart of 12 young people each week. Now, my passion for this was started by the former young mayor of Seaford in my constituency, Jessica Batchelor. At the age of 15, she witnessed firsthand a close family friend die of a sudden cardiac arrest, and no defibrillator was available. As the young mayor of the town, she raised thousands of pounds to ensure there are defibrillators in the town of Seaford, and she lobbied me as our MP to do something about a change in the law. Councillor Mel Phillips in my other town of Holgate is currently raising thousands of pounds. The town is divided by a level crossing, and only one side of the town has a defibrillator. Now, the aim of this bill is not to undermine the excellent work of existing charities such as the British Heart Foundation or the St John's Ambulance, but to support them. And I'm pleased to say that since I presented this bill last year, progress has been made in establishing a national register of defibrillators. The British Heart Foundation is launching the National Defibrillator Network from next spring and is urging everyone to register their defibrillator on their website, so that if any of us have to dial 999 when someone's in a cardiac arrest, that phone handler can tell you exactly where your nearest defibrillator is. So it's essential to ensure there is adequate defibrillator coverage across the country, and that we know these defibrillators are maintained and replaced when necessary. So the aim now of this bill that I present today is to ensure that schools, sports facilities and public buildings all have defibrillators as standard in every town and village in the country, and that these can be accessed 24 hours a day. Now, I know, and the Prime Minister made this point at Prime Minister's questions, that not every village has a school or a leisure centre, but they do all need a designated defibrillator, and it's important that people know where these pieces of equipment are. Currently, there's a postcode lottery, because even in schools, despite the Department for Education's efforts, that we only know of 1,389 defibrillators in schools in England. In Northern Ireland we know of one, and in Scotland we don't know of any. But that's not to say they do not exist. But without this register, we are none the wiser of where these life-saving equipment are. The bill also aims to increase the use of defibrillators, because it's important not just to have these defibrillators, but to make sure they are used when they are needed. I've talked to residents in my villages who tell me they would be afraid to use a defibrillator and think they need training to do so, although nothing could be further from the truth. All a person has to do is to stick the 2 pads on someone's chest, turn the machine on, and that machine will tell you exactly what to do without training. But people are afraid to use them. The bill's aim is not to state that only trained people should use defibrillators, but to mandate training for local communities with every installation so that people feel confident to use them. I wonder how many members of Parliament here today know how many defibrillators are on the estate in Parliament. There are 28 in total. They're in the House of Lords, House of Commons, Normanshire North, Portcullis House, and 2 in the Elizabeth Tower. But, Mr. Speaker, do you know where our nearest defibrillator is to us right now? According to the intranet, it's in Members' Lobby. But this morning, it took me, a doorkeeper and a member of security 4 minutes to find that defibrillator. It's in a cupboard with no sign, and no one knows that it's there. Those 4 minutes could cost someone's life. And can I just share the difference that a defibrillator can make? This morning I heard from Stuart Freeman, a constituent of the Honourable Member for Tonbridge and Malling, whose daughter, just aged 18, suffered a cardiac arrest just in March. She was given CPR and a defibrillator was available, and it saved her life. Serena has met with the Honourable Member for Tonbridge and Malling to plead the case for better training and more access to defibrillators, and she is a great example of the difference defibrillators can make. I therefore move that this bill be introduced so that we can mandate that defibs are installed across the whole of the UK in publicly accessible places, and that training is available so that people know what to do in the event of a cardiac arrest and are not afraid to use them if they need to. It's crucial to support the work of our many charities such as the British Heart Foundation and the St John's Ambulance to ensure we save as many lives as possible. This year, Mr. Speaker, this week, 12 young people will have died of a cardiac arrest. 28,000 will have died this year. Those lives could have been saved by this bill, and I urge members to support it.
Yeah. Order. The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Of the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Jim Shannon, Stephen Twigg, Edward Vasey, Chris Green, Dr Philippa Whitford, Peter Aldous and Dr Lisa Cameron and myself.
Yeah.
SO 2040.
Maria Caulfield.
Defibrillators Availability Bill.
Second reading what day?
25th of January 2019.
25th of January 2019. Thank you.